Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Megan, and I'm back with another Stephen King book in my Stephen King project where I'm reading all of Stephen King's books in chronological order, a chapter at a time. Today I'm talking about The Talisman, which is Stephen King and Peter Straub. Let's start with my rating. I rated it 3 stars. I liked it, but I didn't like it. Alright, so this is a really chonky book. I think this could have been slimmed down a little bit. I think I would have liked it if it was not so big. Like, this was 640 something pages, and I really didn't think it needed to be all of that length, but that's just me. But in terms of the plot, I thought the plot was actually really interesting. So you have like the main plot, which is Jack, who is a 12-year-old boy, and his mother is an actress, but she's also dying of cancer, and so he ends up going on this quest to find a talisman to help save her. So that is basically the overall premise. The overall premise of the book. And I liked that. I thought it was really well written. I thought it was really well done. The in-between parts I could have taken or leaving? Well, I could have I'm like, is that even a word? But whatever. I'm like, there were parts in between where I was like, I don't know how much I cared about it. So when I was reading this, like, partway through, I was starting to go, this sounds like it feels like it's part of his gunslinger world, because there's also like a fantasy sci-fi element towards it, because not only are we living in the plain world, he's in New York, plain world, but there's like a flip side where he's like in the territories, which is like an alternate universe to the world that he's living in, and that's where he has to go in order to get this talisman. He also has an antagonist named Sloat, who is after him because he also wants to get the talisman because he doesn't want Jack to save his mom, because he's already killed his father, so it's kind of like wants them dead. And I was like, interesting. I mean, Sloat was a very interesting antagonist because I thought he was very interesting as a character. We didn't know a lot about him. He was very like elusive and like this like mysterious figure that always kind of just appeared just to antagonize him. But what was interesting was that later on in the book, so he has a character with him named Wolf, who is a werewolf, and he is like on the journey with him, and I really liked their connection. They had a really nice connection, Jack and Wolf. And when he has to part ways with Wolf, I thought it was actually really sad. I was like, oh, I'm gonna miss this character, because there was just something about the two of them and how they were written together that I really enjoyed. But then after he parts ways with Wolf, he meets a kid named Richard, and Richard is the most annoying character I've ever read. Probably not true, but I found him extremely annoying, and so I was like, is this kid gonna get any better? But he is Sloat's son, and I thought that was a very interesting kind of like little twist, because we don't know that at first, and it's like, oh, like, so is he joining Jack to like help stop him to be with his father, or is he actually gonna help Jack? And like, as we progress onwards, we realize that Richard has no idea what's going on. He doesn't even know there's another world, another territories world. It isn't until Jack starts like pumping him information where he's like, oh, you're like helping me remember, and he goes, I don't know if I want to remember. And I was just like, and I'm like, interesting, cool, I like this, but man, was Richard ever whiny. Oh my goodness. I mean, it wasn't until the very end, and I was like, oh, I'm actually I kind of like Richard now. I'm like, oh, okay. Took us to like the last like 3 chapters for me to actually like him, but whatever. It is what it is. But so I mean, I really enjoyed the characters, but it was the journey that I thought was just very long and very I'm like, wow, we didn't need to take all these big, ginormous steps to get to where we needed to get to. We could have done it in a lot shorter of time. So that's why I feel like the story kept dragging. So I'm like, I was very prepared to rate it 2 stars because I was like, this story is taking forever. And I mean, probably the way I was reading it, it didn't help my case either. Like I was, I was reading it like 2 or 3, maybe 4 chapters a week. Um, and so I'm like, that also will make it feel like it's dragging. But I feel like even if I was reading this like as a normal book, as if I would, this is still gonna take a long time to read. And I feel like I'd still be like, is this over yet? Have we gotten to where we need to get to yet? Come on. And there were parts where I was like, I don't know if I really cared for the writing either, and I don't know if it was because it was like this partnership that I'm not used to. I've never read a Peter Straub book in my life, so I don't know what his writing style is like, and I couldn't really tell who was writing which parts and who was writing what characters or whatever. I don't know how they broke it up, but I don't know which it was, but I was like, there were parts where I'm like, I could care less. There were parts where I was really, really invested, and then there were parts where I was like, I don't know how much I like this. So I'm like, I don't know who was writing what, so I don't know. Maybe I should read a Peter Straub book just to see how I think about them, but that's for another day. But the reason it came to a 3-star was because I really enjoyed the fact that when I got to the end, I actually felt something for Richard, which I didn't think that I was going to feel, so I was like, this is getting a higher rating. But I will say this, I didn't like the ending. Not a shocker in any sense, because I'm like, these authors could have just picked away. So obviously, we had Jack finds the talisman. That was never a question of that if that was gonna happen or not. I mean, you're reading it to go, oh, is he gonna find it? Is he gonna find it? I mean, we knew he was gonna find it, but we didn't know if he was gonna find it in time. And clearly, his mother is dying. Like, she is a skeleton. And he finds it, and she's still alive when he gets to her. And I thought those chapters were so emotionally charged. Like, he's there with his mom to basically say goodbye to her. And I was like, this is very emotional. I wasn't prepared for this to be like an upswing of emotion, but damn, did it get emotional. And so then, obviously, the authors have to make a choice. Either you kill the woman or you save the woman. And then they just leave it as an ambiguous ending where they're like, she could be saved, she might not be saved. You'll never know. It's up to you to decide if you want it to be her to be saved or her to be dead. What's that? I was like, what? And so I know that there is a sequel to this book that came out years later, which I'll get to whenever it comes up. So I mean, there's like a little, it's like, I think the epilogue, it's not the conclusion, but it's the epilogue where it was like, oh, this person has risen again, like the queen has risen again, which I'm like, so she's not dead, right? So I'm like, did they do that so that they could create a sequel so that they could leave mystery and intrigue for another novel? I was like, come on, you should have just picked one. Should have just picked one. But they're like, we need to write more because this wasn't enough. We need to give you more. So I was actually very, and then that's when the 2-star came back, and I was like, should I rate it 2 stars? But I'm like, I actually really liked the main plot. I liked the characters. They were very interesting. They were very intriguing. They left me wanting more. So I'm like, I don't feel right rating it just 2 stars. So I'm like, alright, you're gonna get the 3 stars. That's what you're gonna get. So, and those were my thoughts on the book. There is no adaptation for this book. When I checked on Wikipedia, it said that there was something in the works, but I don't know when that's ever gonna happen, if it ever happens. But that would be intriguing to see what they would do with it. So that is all I have for the Talisman. My next Stephen King read will be his short story collection, Skeleton Crew, which includes The Mist, which I have heard many great things of, but I have not actually read nor seen anything, so I'm actually very excited to get to that, and I'm happy that that's the first story, so yay! This will probably take me into, I calculated it, that makes it sound like I was like calculating on a calculator. But I worked it out that this is going to take me until the first week of July, weekend of July. So I've got about the next couple months with this, but I'm excited to get to my next book. So, if you've read The Talisman, actually, the front and the back are the same. Hey, I get it! I get it! You've got real world, and then you've got the flip side. That is the territories world. I get it. I actually literally just got that now. Interesting. But if you have read The Talisman, please leave a comment in the comment below. Let me know what your thoughts were. But that's all I have for you guys today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, a like, a subscribe, and do your thing. And I will see you all in my next video. So thanks and bye, guys!